Hello there, amazing viewers and subscribers, and welcome to a brand new top 20 type Doctor Who topic video. So, for this, we are talking about my top 20 Doctor Who villains. Now, this originally was going to be a top 10, but the list went down to 30. So I ended up having to take one off to make it into a top 20 because I couldn't make my mind up how to put things and where to put people. So when I finally did it, I realised it went down to 30 and I was like, no, I can't really do a top 30 because this video will be going on forever. So here is my top 20 Doctor Who villains and the ones I absolutely adore and love. So in 20th place, we have the Meddling Monk. Now, the Meddling Monk first made his debut in Doctor Who The Time Middler at the finale of Season 2 over 4 parts. And of course, he made a return in the 12-part epic story, aka the Daleks Master Plan, but only in like 3 type episodes. So the Meddling Monk, he is absolutely brilliant. I do like the Meddling Monk. He's kind of a reminds me so much of the first Doctor, but he's done so differently. Instead of the first Doctor's where he goes, "You cannot rewrite history, not one line," and you got the Meddling Monk going, I'm gonna meddle with history. Yes, let's go to 1066 and try and stop the Battle of Hastings and the defeat of William the Conqueror from happening. Yeah, I absolutely do love the Meddling Monk. He's absolutely brilliant and fantastic character. And of course, the character has returned in Big Finish. So yeah, in 20th place, we have the Meddling Monk. In 19th place, we have the Irani. I had to put the Irani in this list because I really like Kate O'Mara. She's absolutely brilliant as the most ruthless incarnation of a Time Lord. And she's the most ruthless one I've ever known. Now, unlike the Doctor and the Master, the Irani is so different. She is just pure genius. And yeah, okay, with her manipulation skills, like with the magnets, the maggots that basically make people swallow and they go brainwashed, and of course with the Mark Irani where everyone goes violent. Yeah, actually quite brilliant. I do like the Irani's villainous ways, and she's only had 2 Doctor Who stories, aka the Mark Irani and of course the Time of the Doctor, Time of Irani. I absolutely love the Irani. I would love to see her return at some point. Really would. In 18th place, we have the Great Vampires. Yes, the Great Vampires. Now, what do you mean by the Great Vampires? You're probably wondering. Well, the 4th Doctor encountered the Great Vampires during the E-Space trilogy, and of course, this was later to be revealed. These are the surviving vampires from the battle with the Time Lords that happened many, many centuries ago with the Great Rassilon. I absolutely do love these vampires. The fact that Doctor does kill the Great Vampire because by shooting up the rocket, make it land straight into the vampire's heart, and basically the screen work of the vampires kind of fading and going into the mummified sort of thing, and then they kind of disintegrate right in front of the Doctor and Romana and Adric. Really brilliant. Really great effects. Really do. Number 17. We've got Syl. I absolutely flipping love Syl. Now, Syl is definitely a businessman. We first encountered him on the Venture on Varos. Of course, he's there trying to manipulate Artron 7, something like that, so that people can become rulers type thing. And of course, he doesn't get his own way thanks to the interference of the Doctor and Peri. And of course, we do see him on his home planet Theta Beta, where basically Peri gets put into another slug creature called Kith. So it's really an interesting villain, and he's only had 2 debuts in Doctor Who history. He would have had, originally I think he would have had 3 if Colin Baker got a 3rd season, and of course Mission to Maglos came part of the 3rd season instead of the 2nd season for Colin. I really think that may be interesting, but I really like Syl. I really want Syl to return at some point. Really like him. Number 16, the Weeping Angels. Now, some people will probably criticise me for putting the Weeping Angels down in 16th place. Well, the thing is, though, the Weeping Angels, even though I like the concept, they haven't had a good story since, basically, Time of Angels and Flesh and Stone in the Fantastic 2-part. Now, some people say, oh, Blink is the best episode for the Weeping Angels. No, it's not. In Blink, they're just literally just there moving when you're not blinking and pointing at the light and stuff. Where in Flesh and Stone, they're going around snapping people's necks off, stealing their voice boxes, using to communicate with the Doctor, and try to bring the anger of the Doctor into into that foreground, and of course the Doctor said, no, Angel Bob, just one thing you haven't forgotten, one great big whopping mistake. I absolutely do love the Weeping Angels, but I kind of wish we had some better episodes with them. I mean, to me, the best episodes we got for the Weeping Angels is, of course, Time of Angel and Flesh and Stone, because it's absolutely brilliant. I do like Village of the Angels because I really find that brilliant, and of course I like the Weeping Angels part of Flux and turning the Doctor into a Weeping Angel. But Blink is not really the best story for the characters. I don't know why people say, oh, Blink is a masterpiece. It's not really a masterpiece. It's a Doctor-like episode. The Weeping Angels made their debut. I really prefer Flesh and Stone and Time of Angels over Blink. And of course, The Angels Take Manhattan. And of course, the stuff that happened in Flux. I really think the best Weeping Angel two-parter is, of course, Time of Angels and Flesh and Stone. And of course, the fact that the Doctor doesn't really know how to defeat them, he literally just has that whole thing with the Kraken universe and goes, I'm going to throw the Weeping Angels into it. Yeah, that's how the Doctor defeated them. If that crack never happened, the Doctor would not have won. He would literally lost Amy, he would have lost River, he would have lost everybody in that episode. And of course, I think the Doctor would basically just run away in his TARDIS because the Weeping Angels are the most powerful threat. That's the thing about it. I mean, that's how I think it would have happened if that Kraken universe never split open and let all the Weeping Angels go flying out of them. Number 15. The Great Intelligence. Now, the Great Intelligence did return in 2012-2013 with Richard D. Grant being the voice as the Whisperman for the Great Intelligence. But the Great Intelligence made its very first debut in Doctor Who in Season 5 with Patrick Troughton's Doctor in 2 stories, aka The Abominable Snowman and of course The Web of Fear. I absolutely love the Great Intelligence as an interesting villain. I really love the Yetis because I really think the Yetis would have been perfect for a fantastic return for the show's 50th anniversary. That would have been an absolutely iconic sort of thing to do. But instead of having the Whispermen, I would have preferred the Yetis and have the Great Intelligence still having Richard D. Grant. Yeah, I quite enjoy the Great Intelligence. I think I enjoy all of his episodes. I don't know why, but I really do enjoy the Abominable Snowman. I love the Web of Fear. I love the Snowman. The Snowman is definitely my second favourite Great Intelligence type episode. I do like the Bells of St. John and, of course, the Name of the Doctor because I really like the Great Intelligence. And, of course, the Great Intelligence isn't going to return because he steps into the Doctor's timeline and dies. Which is why Clara jumped into the Doctor's timeline to save the Doctor. So, yeah, I do like the Great Intelligence. I don't think we're ever going to see them return. In 14th place, we have The Silence. Yes, The Silence. Silence will fall. Now, The Silence I would have put a bit higher, but I kind of think they get overshadowed by a lot of stuff. Now, when I say that, they have a great introduction in The Impossible Astronaut and Day of the Moon. That is a great Silence episode. Apart from that, they kind of have a few cameo appearances in Series 6. Then, of course, you have the Wedding of River's song, and, of course, they're just kind of there to break up the tank and not really do much filling the stuff. And then, of course, in Time of the Doctor, they're just kind of there for a cameo, but with a little Dalek eye popping out of them. And that's really it for The Silence. We don't get much to do with them after, basically, the Fantastic two-parter. They are basically one of the best villains of Doctor Who, and I really think they became a little bit crappier in their other appearances. The Silence were very great. I mean, they were very intelligent, manipulating the whole entire planet just to go to the moon so they can have a spacesuit to try and kill the Doctor. Yeah, I really do like that. But The Silence just kind of fell apart after that two-parter. And I'm sorry to say that. The Silence really do fall apart. Yeah. Number 13, The Macra. The Macra made 2 appearances of Doctor Who. I'm basing this because of the Macra Terror. The Macra Terror is so great for the Macra before they become mindless savage beasts that they are in Gridlock. In the Macra Terror, they are very intelligent. They can take over a human colony. They make all the humans terrified of them. And you don't really see that in Gridlock. You don't see the humans being that much terrified of them. I mean, they're not intelligent. They're literally just eating off car fumes, and basically when cars go into the fast lane, that's how they kill them. But they don't really get to do much. I mean, in Gridlock, that's in Gridlock, but in basically the Macra Terror, they are far more intelligent, they're far more brilliant. So yeah, I love them in the Macra Terror. So much better than Gridlock. I'm sorry to say that. Number 12, The Empty Child, aka the gas mask zombie / nanogene type things. Now, the gas mask zombie episode is brilliant. I love it. Are you my mummy? This is just a fantastic episode. This is what the nanogenes can do to a damaged body. If they haven't seen a human before, and of course see a dead human on a battleground with a dead child at this point, I actually do quite enjoy this episode. They are very terrifying. They are great villains. I do think they were kind of easily defeated with the nanogenes by the Ninth Doctor after Nancy let the empty child hug us and, yes, I am your mummy, I'm always your mummy. I really think that could have been so much more of a bigger threat, but that's why it's down in 13th place. In 12th place. In 11th place, we have a fantastic enemy, aka the Autons, that made 4 appearances over Doctor Who's course of history, in 2 stories from the 1970s, and of course 2 stories in modern Doctor Who. So they've had 4 appearances, and I actually basing them off the 3 appearances out of the 4. I don't really think the Autons were great in the Pandorica Opens, but they are absolutely fantastic in Spare from Space, Terror the Autons, and of course, Rose. They are absolutely fantastic villains. What's wrong with a plastic entity that can live inside plastic and turn everything plastic against the entire world? Window shop dummies come to life. Like that. I absolutely love the Autons. Every time I rewatch Spare from Space, Terror the Autons and Rose, I absolutely love them. And the fact that SG Conscious has an upgrade every time. They're going from a tentacle sort of creature we see in the 70s to this kind of lava plastic sort of alien creature. Brilliant. Just pure brilliancy and magnificent. I absolutely love the Autons. Brilliant. Number 10. So now we are into the top 10 and we have the Black Guardian. Now, I love the Black Guardian to return because there is some unfinished business between him and the Doctor. Because the Doctor did basically stop him from getting his hands on the key to time. And of course, he did try to get Tarlo to kill the Doctor, but Tarlo kind of threw enlightenment at him and he burst into flames. And people would have thought that was the end for the Black Guardian. But the White Guardian said at the end of the episode, if there's always a White Guardian, there will always be a Black Guardian. So the Black Guardian is still out there, and I would think it's about time for him to return to battle against the Doctor. I really do. Number 9, Sutekh. Sutekh made his only appearance in the TV universe of Doctor Who in 1975 story, aka Pyramids of Mars, which is a 4-part story. Sutekh is one of those best powerful godlike beings, and the fact the Doctor kind of trapped him inside a time portal and of course sent him back into time, or forwards in time, and of course, you know, with the Doctor. I actually do quite enjoy this story. It is brilliant. It is magnificent. Now, Sutekh does return in Big Finish, but I absolutely love the character played by Stephen Fry. He has that such booming voice. I will turn everything into dust, darkness. That is my good. I absolutely love Sutekh. And of course, when the 4th Doctor gets hypnotized by him, who is your leader? Sutekh is supreme. I absolutely love this menace. I love the robot mummies with him, but I have to say, Sutekh is one of the best villains in the Tom Baker era. Honestly, brilliant. Number 8, the Toymaker. And I'm basing this off Giggle because I haven't really experienced the Celestial Toymaker yet. I've got it on audio, but I'm kind of waiting for the animation before I go and listen to the audio and see what I prefer. Do I prefer the animation or do I prefer the audio? I honestly think, I don't know. I'm waiting to see that. But I really like the Toymaker in the fantastic episode known as The Giggle. He is such a great villain. So the Toymaker did basically make an appearance in Doctor Who before in 1966 story, aka The Celestial Toymaker in season 3. I absolutely love the Toymaker. He is such a fantastic villain. And I love Neil Patrick Harris's way he played him. Yeah, with the German accent. And then, of course, with some other accents he does. I'm not very good with the German. And of course, I really love the way how he says, oh, you want the sucky bear and the sucky Sue and the sucky babas. I really love the Toymaker. I really love the Toymaker. I would love to have him to return, but the fact he's literally been banished and of course trapped in a grain of salt inside a unit lab. Could he return? Maybe. We never know. But I would love to see him return. I really would. Number 7. The Cygons. The Cygons are a brilliant one-off villains in the 70s for Tom Baker in season 13. But they returned for 2 outings in modern Doctor Who. And of course, Day of the Doctor is their best return, where basically the Cygon invasion, the Cygon inversion, it's kind of 50-50. I don't really like the episode, but I do like the Cygons because they can actually shapeshift to anybody. But the Cygons are really great villains. I absolutely love them. We are fortunate in this counterpart. I absolutely love them. I really like the Cygon leader Brotan in Tell the Cygons because he is an absolutely fantastic villain. I really do like the Zygons. I love the design. I love the way they can shapeshift. So yeah, I had to put them in 7th place because they're not really best to make it into the top 6. In 6th place, we have the Ice Warriors. I absolutely love the Ice Warriors. I mean, 6 TV appearances in the laws of Doctor Who, concerning over 6 stories, basically, aka 6 stories, and that is, of course, Doctor Who the Ice Warriors, Doctor Who the Seas of Death, the Curse of Paladon, and, of course, the Monster of Paladon, until the big return in Cold War with the 11th Doctor, and, of course, Empire of Death. My favourite Ice Warrior episode is, of course, the Seas of Death, because it is a Petra Stratton story, and I can't really put that above anybody else. But Empress of Mars is my second favourite Ice Warrior story, and it's basically the best outing for the Ice Warriors in Modern Who. It's such a shame they haven't returned since 2017. I would love to see the return of the Ice Warriors at some point. Please, Russell, bring back the Ice Warriors. 2 episodes ain't enough for the Ice Warriors. I would love to see them return. I really would. I absolutely love them. And now we are into the top 5. And in 5th place, we have the Master / Missy. Now, I'm kind of adding all of the incarnations of the Master into one because they are still the same character, but just with different faces. So this is why they are a fantastic villain. And I mean a proper fantastic villain. I love the Master. My favourite incarnation of the Master is Anthony Ainley because he has the pure ambition. I love the campiness of his Master that we see in some of his stories. Yeah, okay, some people don't like the campy side of the Master. I think it's kind of okay. I mean, I love the fact he's in a disguise nearly half the time. Some of them, you can tell it's Anthony Ainley in disguise, like in The King's Demons, and of course in Time Flight. Oh, my dear Doctor, you have been naive. Anthony Ainley is definitely my favourite incarnation of the Master, but I do like Richard Gardo as my second favourite incarnation. And of course, Michelle Gomez is my 3rd favourite incarnation of the Master because I really like Michelle Gomez's Missy. The Master is this fantastic Moriarty to the Doctor's Sherlock. So the Doctor is basically Sherlock Holmes and the Master is Moriarty. Oh, ha, yes, Doctor, I got you in my traps again. I absolutely do love the Master. He is such a classic villain. I don't really want the Master to return for a little while because we've not long had him over 2 years ago. I kind of want him to have a bit of a gap, a bit of a massive rest before we see the return of the Master and to make the 15th Doctor kind of pay in a way that the Master knows how the Doctor can pay. And the fact that the Master is basically the cause of some regenerations of the Doctor, like he's the reason why the 4th Doctor regenerate is regeneration because of the because the 8th Doctor, the 7th Doctor begins the 8th Doctor. And of course, he's the one of the reasons why the 10th Doctor regenerated, and of course the 12th Doctor regenerated. That's because of the Master and the Simon. But I absolutely love the Master. Fantastic villain, honestly. In 4th place, we have the Cybermen. Now, the Cybermen, the reason I've put them in 4th place is because of the appearances in Classic Who. I really think Classic Who handled the Cybermen so much better than modern Doctor Who. Considering that in Classic Who, I love all of the Cybermen stories, including the bad ones. They are not as bad as people make out to be. I love Revenge of the Cybermen. I really love Silver Nemesis. I really think them two are some great Cybermen stories. But the more the fact that in Modern Who, the Cybermen became more of a fiddle to the Master in the later half. They have 3 great stories for the Cybermen, which is basically Rise of Cybermen, Age of Steel. Then, of course, we have the fantastic World Nothing Time and the Doctor Falls and Ascension of the Cybermen. They are the 3 best Cybermen stories I can honestly say are best for the Cybermen. Where Modern Who just kind of trumps on them since basically Army of Ghosts and Doomsday. Because Army of Ghosts and Doomsday is my 4th favourite episode for them, but they really come across the Daleks. But since basically the name of the next Doctor, they kind of become more of a second fiddle and very, very weak because they were weak in that story. They were weak in the Pandorica Opens. They were weak in the Closing Time. Really, really weak. Closing Time is one of the worst episodes for the Cybermen, including Nightmare in Silver. That is definitely a bad episode. And of course, Dark Water and Death in Heaven. And then of course we have The Power of the Doctor and The Timeless Children, which really, really bug me because they had so much potential with the new Cybermen, and of course they're making more to a fiddle to the Master. But the Cybermen in Classic Who are just so great. I really love the 1987 by David Banks. My army awakes Doctor, the Cybermen will rise. More power. I really love the 80s Cybermen. I honestly love the 1980s version of the Cybermen. So yeah, I had to put that in fourth place because of the 80s Cybermen. In third place, the Daleks. Now, my best friend Jamie Smith is probably going to get his Dalek gun to try and come and exterminate me. I'm actually expecting his car to kind of pull up outside my house any minute with a gun to shoot me for putting the Daleks in third place because they are his absolute favourite villain. For me, the Daleks are great in Classic Who. I really think the Classic Who handled the Daleks so much better. In Modern Who, they've had some great episodes and they had some really, really bad episodes. It's like some people don't know how to handle the Daleks, aka Moffat. The Daleks, to me, are this most iconic villain. They are very much like the Nazis in World War II. And, of course, I really love all 6 of the 1960 stories with them. I really love the 70s Dalek stories because they don't do much with the 70s. And then they have, because if you think about it, they literally have like a 5-year rest, come back for seasons 9, 10, 11 and 12. Then they have a kind of a more of a 5-year gap. And coming back for the 17th season of Doctor Who in Destiny of the Daleks. And then they go away again for 5 more years. And they come back for 2 years in a row for 1984 and 1985. Then they go away again for 2 years. And then they come back in the 1988 story, Remembrance of the Daleks. And that's it for Classic Who. They don't do too much with the Daleks. They are not overused. But in Modern Who, they always come back. They're in Series 1, they're in Series 2, they're in Series 3, they're in Series 4, they're in Series 5, they're in Series 7, they're in Series 8, Series 9. Series 11, because Resolution is part of Series 11. Series 12, Revelation of the Daleks, and then of course Eve of the Daleks, and then they become more of a second fiddle again in the power of the Doctor because of the Master. I mean, if I could say what are the best 3 Dalek stories in Modern Who, that's definitely got to go to Revelation, Dalek, and Bad Wolf and Parting of the Ways. That is the 3 best Dalek stories. Plus Journey's End, Stolen Earth and Journey's End, that's 4. Plus Revolution of the Daleks, which is another great one. The Daleks just come more of a second fiddle. I do like the Matt Smith 2 episodes with the Daleks. They are absolutely great. I just don't know how to think. I really enjoy classic Dalek stories over modern Dalek stories. It's like Classic Who know how to handle them so much better, especially with David Whittaker. Because David Whittaker actually wrote the Targanisation for the Daleks, and it's so much better than what Terry Nation wrote. The Daleks are so menacing in Classic Who. Look at stories like The Power of the Daleks, or The Evil of the Daleks, or They Say Dead of the Daleks, where they actually try and create a time loop. In Frontier in Space, they actually do make a deal with the Master, but they are going to betray the Master and making a secret army on Speladon. Then, of course, we've got Genesis of the Daleks. Then, of course, we've got Resurrection, Revelation, and, of course, Remembrance of the Daleks, which are some of the best Dalek stories in my retrospect, including the Dalek invasion of Earth. In Modern Who, they just don't come across that, and that's the thing. If I'm going to put the Daleks a bit higher, I want it to be because I like them so much. I love the Daleks. They are my third favourite villain, but I can't really put them as high as that because I just prefer Classic Who over Modern Who for the Daleks, and I'm sorry to say that. In second place, we have Davros, the creator of the Daleks. Now, some people would have put Davros with the Daleks, but I can't. I actually think Davros is so better than the Daleks themselves. Davros is the evil genius to create the Daleks. He is the fantastic genius. I absolutely love 3 versions out of the 5 for Davros. Well, 4, sorry. Out of the 4 versions of Davros. I absolutely do like Michael Wisher's Davros. I love Tom Malloy's version of Davros. Tom Malloy is my favourite version of Davros. And Julia Beach, who does a fantastic performance as Davros in The Stolen Earth and Journey's End. And, of course, The Magician's Apprentice and The Witch's Familiar. I really think that 2-parter should have been a Dr. Davros story. The Daleks didn't need to be in it. And then, of course, Russell T Davies did bring back Julia Bleach as Davros in Destination Skaro. And yeah, I'm not going to talk about that because I don't think that is canon. I'm wiping it out of my mind. Right, literally just wiping it out of my mind because I don't agree with some of the stuff that Russell T Davies said. Davros is a fantastic villain. He is such a genius. He is a manipulator. The way he literally can turn people into food, that we hear in Revelation of the Daleks, and of course in the Fantastic Story as well. He is so manipulative because he literally betrays the Khaleds and pretends to the Fowls that somebody has betrayed us, and I'd like to know who it was. They will be punished for this. I absolutely love Davros. He is such an iconic villain, and I kind of, when we do see him return, and I think they probably will bring him back, I want to see him back in the chair. Not the human Davros walking. I want the Davros I know and love, and which is why he's my second favourite villain. Number 1. In first place, I had to put the Sea Devils. Now, some people will go, what? Why have I put the Sea Devils in first place? Why? Now, the reason I've done this is because I absolutely love the Sea Devils. And I'm sorry to say that. They are my favourite villain from the 70s. They are my favourite classic villain. And, yeah, okay, Legend of the Sea Devils isn't one of the best episodes for them, but I still love the fact they returned. I love Warriors of the Deep just because it has the Sea Devils in it. If it would just have been the Morlocks and basically the Silurians, I probably would not love it as much, but I love it because of the Sea Devils. I really, really like the Sea Devils. They are honestly my favourite villain of Doctor Who of all time. But saying that, I absolutely love them in the Sea Devils. Yes, they become basically manipulative because of the Master, but saying, oh, the Doctor's betraying you, listen to me. And then, of course, the Master ends up having his plan backfired, and the Sea Devils kind of lock him up, saying that we are going to use you and the Doctor to basically be our bidding. I absolutely love the Sea Devils. I mean, when you hear that voice, this is our planet. I absolutely love it. I really love the Sea Devils. They are so iconic to me. Yes, I love the 1972 versions. The fact that Sea Devils have returned 3 times in Doctor Who history, brilliant, 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 brilliant. Yeah, some people don't like Warriors of the Deep. I love it because, one, it's just the return of the Sea Devils. I absolutely love it. And when Legend of the Sea Devils was announced, basically New Year's Eve back in 2022, I was so happy to return to the Sea Devils. I didn't care for how bad they looked. They look so similar to the 1972 counterpart. Flat out, some of the best stuff. Some of the best stuff. I really love the Sea Devils. So that is my top 20 Doctor Who villains. Who are your top 20? Let me know in the comments. Sorry. So let me know in the comments who are your top 20 Doctor Who villains. Please do like, subscribe and share, and join me for more awesome Doctor Who content.